Remember the last time that someone said something that you disagreed with and you felt the words forming in your chest and then you let them go? Maybe it was a meeting. Maybe it was a conversation that went sideways. Maybe you were listening to a leader at a conference, or maybe it was your pastor at your church. You stayed quiet and you called it being humble, being professional, being the bigger person. But what if that silence wasn't wisdom? What if it was fear wearing humility's clothing? Hey, y'all, welcome to MiNDSHiFT Monday, where we don't just talk motivation, we train perspective. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me. And today, we're kicking off a brand new month and a brand new theme, voice. Yeah, we spent the last 2 months expanding and building resilience. And now that we come down to the last 4 shows of season 2, we're gonna talk about the thing that ties it all together, because what good is growth that you never speak into existence? So this episode is for the builders, the leaders, the people who've done the internal work, but keep leaving their voice at the door. We're gonna change that today. Sugar Bob, a new day, a new way. How you doing, my friend? Danny Lewis, so glad that you're here. Oh yeah, Abigail, I'm a fiabor. I'm messing up your name. I apologize for that. On Instagram, so glad that you're here. Jessica, so glad that you're here. Oh yeah. All right, listen, real quick, before we dive in, a few things. Number one, if you want that reminder note that says, hey friend, we're going live now, I want you to text live to 240-557-8679 so that you can get on the list. So we'll send you a text every morning when we're going live to say, hey, we're on. Yes. And then after the show, we've got the after party. After the Monday MiNDSHiFT party, the MiNDSHiFT Monday party, we got the after party. You can hop on Zoom with me and other fantastic MiNDSHiFTers to talk about what we heard and how we will use it to get better this week. Head on over to MiNDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom and join us. Now, coming up soon. If you've ever felt like you don't have a story to tell, or know what stories will make a difference for yourself, or your prospects, your audience, or maybe you know what the right story is, but you have no idea how to deliver it with impact, then I invite you to join me for the Story Vault Remix, a 2-hour masterclass and live coaching experience that will move you from uncertain to influential. We'll uncover your hidden gems and show you how to shine them so everyone around you can see the light. Head on over to StoryVaultRemix.com. Join us for the experience on June 9th. Lock in your VIP seat. Don't miss it. Man, I'm telling you, bring your friends. Come on. Yeah. Let's do this thing. Hold on. Is it time? Oh, yeah, it is. All right, listen, my friends. I'm a big believer in silence, but the silence that we're talking about today isn't the strategic kind. It's the kind that, well, silences you. The silencing silence that we've been taught was humility, but honestly, it's been fear in disguise all this time. Let's talk about it. Let's do this thing. Come on. Yeah. All right, y'all. Listen, before we go deeper, I want to hear from you. Drop it in the chat in 1 or 2 words. What's one room or space, one context, one relationship, one environment where you consistently hold back your voice? Is it work? Is it home? Is it your industry? Is it online? Just one word or one context, 1 or 2 words. Where do you consistently hold back your voice? While y'all are writing in the comments, let me say what's up to some of these people online. Twyla Grigsby, so glad that you're here. Cake Me Away, I like it. Cake Me Away by Shima, so glad that you're here. TL Speaks, glad to see you. Good Monday, my friend. Yeah, C. Marie, How you doing? Good to see you today. Sugar Bob, you are in the space, in the place, looking at my face. Marie, yes, we got another Marie in the space today. Eric, what's going on, sir? All right. Edlin, so glad to see you. All right, fantastic. All right. So let's start looking at some of this stuff here. All right, C. Marie says, church. You consistently hold back your voice at church. TL speaks at work. Yeah. All right. I see home. I see home. Oh, I see marriage. A couple of people saying marriage. Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, listen, we are going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it today. So I want to go back to the moment that I described earlier, the room, the words forming in your chest and the choice to say quiet. Coach George is saying at home. Judy is saying with adult children. Ooh, yeah. All right. So here's what I want you to sit with. Most people have been rewarded for their silence at some point. A parent, a teacher, or a boss, somebody in your life told you directly or indirectly that being quiet was smart, that waiting was wise, that shrinking was being respectful. And so we leaned into it. We learned it. Yeah. We practiced it. We got good at it. But there's a difference between choosing silence as a strategic tool and defaulting to silence because showing up feels risky. Yeah. One is power, one is fear, and most of us have been calling it the wrong thing for a long time. So I'm going to tell you about a moment that is touchy for some people, especially in religious spaces. C. Marie said church is where she holds back her voice quite often. There was a moment at a church that I attended where there was some disagreement between some of the older attendees and some of the younger attendees. Older folks made some decisions, and the younger attendees weren't in agreement with how it played out. And the issue wasn't so much of one of disagreement as much as it was that the younger folk didn't feel like they had the opportunity to be heard and to share in the decisions that were being made. They didn't feel like they had a voice. Now, there was a group of people at this church who felt like a particular young lady was the ringleader of the disrespect, and they didn't like how she was operating. And so they told her not to have certain meetings. But she went about having them anyway, and her intent was to create space or forums for conversation amongst the younger group. And for the older group, they just didn't want her to have those conversations on church grounds. Now, there came a big meeting, this huge meeting where everyone, young, old, in between, everybody was gathered, and they were talking about this situation, and they asked this young lady to stand up and come up to the front. So she went up and she expressed her thoughts and she expressed her opinions, and a few of the older people expressed theirs as well. This is where things turned a bit. She expressed her opinion, they shared theirs, and then they essentially told her that she was wrong and asked her if she was willing to apologize to the congregation. She said no, she didn't see the need to do that since she didn't feel like she had done anything wrong. After the audible gasps, after all of the audible gasps died down, I don't really remember what happened next. I'm sure I could come up with it if I thought about it long enough. But here's what I do remember. I was in that room. And issues aside, I totally disagreed with how she was isolated, blamed, and treated. And here's the thing. I didn't say anything. I could feel it in my chest at that moment. I could feel like I needed to stand up. I could feel like I needed to go up there and stand beside her. I could feel all of that in my spirit. I could feel it. But for one reason or another, I didn't say anything. And this situation reminded me of the book I read in school. I don't know how many of you have read this. I read this book, The Scarlet Letter. And in The Scarlet Letter, Hester Prynne was stood up in front of the entire community and blamed for adultery, was blamed for something, when there were more people involved and, frankly, more people at fault, right? There was an entire situation that took place, and yet they scapegoated one person, right? In this same scenario, and a lot of us who've heard the term church hurt, some of this is where it comes from, right? This young person was scapegoated for the inadequacies or the incorrect approach to this entire situation by everybody. Plenty of fault to go around. You get fault. You get a fault. You get a fault. There was plenty of fault to go around. But one person was scapegoated for this. And I was in the room and I didn't speak up. I didn't use my voice, and I missed the moment to make a difference. Now, that young lady some months later requested that her membership be removed from that church community. Now, would my voice have made a difference in that moment? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know for sure. But what I do know is that you never have a second chance at the same moment. Sure, you may get other opportunities to come back at some things, but you never have a second chance at the same moment. And I said nothing in that moment, not because I didn't have the words. I had them. I had something. I could feel them. They may have not been the most clear words or the most perfect words or the most articulate words, but I had words. But I said nothing because I didn't think the room would receive them the way that they needed to. There were some fears inside of me, and I told myself it wasn't the right moment. I told myself that I'd wait for a better one. But that better moment never came. And so I drove home that night knowing that I had left something on the table, knowing that I'd missed the opportunity to defend someone, knowing that I had missed the opportunity to affect the perspective of an entire group. I'd left my perspective on the table, and the people in that room never got to hear it. And that's the cost of silence that we don't really talk about, right? It's not just what you lose, but it's what the room loses when your voice isn't in it. And we often stay silent because we're afraid of what will happen if we use our voice, right? We're afraid of what criticisms we'll receive. We're afraid of what pushback or challenge we'll receive. And I know I've been in situations where I've not said something because I felt like I didn't have the energy to deal with the conflict that it would cause. Is that just me? Marie's like, facts. Yes. But here's the deal. The most dangerous thing you can do is stay silent in a room where your voice belongs. We've been taught that humility means minimizing yourself. That wisdom means you gotta wait. That professionalism means filtering and constantly and habitually and automatically hiding or dumbing down everything that you say. And so we do. We filter, we wait, we minimize. But here's what happens. When you make silence a reflex instead of a choice, you begin to disappear. Not all at once, gradually. One held back thought at a time. One unspoken observation at a time. One conversation at a time where you showed up, but you never really arrived. And then here's what happens. One day, somebody gets credit for the idea that you had 3 months ago. Or someone courageously speaks up and shapes the culture of the room that you're in all the time, and they're the newbie. They just showed up. Right? Or a client chooses somebody else, somebody louder, somebody clearer, somebody who took up the space that you kept leaving empty because you practiced the safety of silence. And silence can feel safe, but safety and silence are not the same thing. They're not the same thing. There's research in organizational psychology about something called psychological safety. Look that up. And that's the degree to which people feel they can speak up without being punished or embarrassed. And Amy Edmondson at Harvard spent a lot of time, decades, studying what separates high-performing teams from ones that stall out. And here's what she kept finding. It's not talent. It's not resources. It's not strategy. It's whether people feel safe enough to use their voice. And the teams where communication was suppressed, the teams where people stayed quiet, the teams where people self-censored, where they nodded along rather than pushing back, those teams made more errors, missed more opportunities, and moved slower than the teams where people felt empowered to use their voices, right? And the voice in the room isn't just about individual expression, right? It's not just about, oh, I'm gonna say what I gotta say. It's about collective intelligence. And so when, I want you to get this part, when you go silent, the room gets dumber. Right? When you go silent, the team loses access to what you carry. And you've got something valuable. That's not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. That's what Amy Edmondson's data states. Right? Your silence isn't neutral. Your silence has a cost. And when you are silent, when you constantly default to silence, when you constantly default to holding back your voice. Yeah, and there's wisdom in how you should share your voice. And that's why I do what I do, right? My job as a communication coach, as a communication strategist, is to not only help people to amplify their voice or equip them to amplify their voice, but to amplify it in a way that generates and creates influence. There's wisdom and strategy in how you do it. It's not just saying, oh, I'm not going to be silent. I'm just going to yell and I'm going to speak everything that I feel like speaking without filter. No, there's wisdom there. But silence comes at a cost, and silence can feel like protection, but what you're protecting yourself from is your own influence. Oh yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're getting low on time. So here's today's mind shift. You know how we do this, where we talk a little bit about an old belief and a new belief. So your old belief today, here's your mind shift, is that staying quiet is humble. It means I'm being thoughtful. It means I'm being professional. It means I'm being wise. That's the old belief. And as I said, to be fair, there are many situations where silence is powerful. Silence can convey wisdom. It can convey gravitas. But here's your new belief today. Silence is only a virtue when it's chosen. When silence is a default, when it's a reflex driven by fear of judgment or fear of rejection or fear of being too much or being extra. It's not humility, it's hiding. And the world doesn't need you to hide, it needs you to speak. That's the shift, not from quiet to loud, but from hiding to choosing. Right? You can still be measured, you can still be strategic, but now your silence comes from courage and not from fear. Right? And if you're honest with yourself, you know the moments. Right? You know the moments. Your body, your gut, your spirit tells you the moment. But if you've numbed yourself to that gut feeling over time, you need to take some intentional time to reconnect to that voice and when and where and how and why and what's the best way. Right? So here's some actions this week to do that. Here's how we do this. All right, let's quick see Maria, see you. Yes. All right, Baker, Bakari, Habib, I see you on Instagram. Excellent. So let's walk into our actions of transformation this week. So action number 1 is I want you to check your silence, right? At the end of each day this week, starting today, at the end of each day this week, I want you to ask yourself one question. Where did I go quiet today? And was that a choice or a reflex? Right? You're not trying to fix anything yet. I don't want you to fix anything. You're just building the map. You're just identifying and creating awareness, right? You can't reclaim a voice that you haven't located. Some of you at the beginning talked about your silence at home or your silence at work or your silence at church. Identify where that's happening. Okay, yep, that's happening. Why was I silent at home? Why was I silent in my marriage? Why was I silent with my adult kids? Why was I silent in my church? Right? You can't reclaim a voice that you haven't located. Okay? So that's action number 1. Check your silence. Where are you being silent? Number 2, I want you to pick one conversation from this week where you filtered yourself and go back. All right, go back to that conversation. Send the follow-up text. Bring it back up at the next meeting. Write the reply that you deleted. Right? You don't need a perfect moment. You need a next moment. Use it. And this was my failure or my fall down in the situation that I shared earlier. I missed that moment. However, I could have sent a follow-up email saying to the team, the pastors, the leadership, hey, this is what happened. Here's how it showed up. And here is my thought about it. Boom. It's on the table. Leave it. Do what you will with it. But you've heard the perspective. Right? Yeah, there are times when you got to keep your nose out of other people's business. Yeah, there's wisdom there. There's some moments there where you should be silent. But I believe your gut and your voice, your instinct tells you that as well. Yeah, you'll get it wrong sometimes, but over time, practicing your voice, you begin to learn the moments where your intention should bring your voice forward. All right? So check your silence. Number 2, pick it back up. Find the next moment. Okay? You don't need a perfect moment. You just need the next moment. And then number 3, reframe the room. Reframe the room. What does that mean? The next time you feel the urge to go quiet, ask yourself a different question. We typically ask ourselves, should I say something? I want you to remove that question. Should I say something? And instead ask the question, what does this room lose if I don't? What does this room lose if I don't say something? Right? That is the shift here from self-protection to contribution. My goal, my job is to always be in a position of giving to the room, giving to the space, serving the space, making contribution. That's how we create transformation in people's lives, coming from that space of contribution. That's our purpose, right? So we move from the fear of being too much to understanding that silence has a cost as well. Hey, y'all, listen, if this episode hit you right in the chest, if this episode hit you somewhere real, and if you recognize in yourself in this room that I described, I want to invite you to the after show in just about 2 or 3 minutes, top of the hour, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, whatever time it is on the eastern coast of the United States. I want to invite you there. That's where we don't just process or receive the content. We process it together. We talk through how it shows up in your life, your work, your relationships. We make it real. Zoom link is here, MiNDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom. Come on out. Be a part of the family. Hey, as we are talking, make sure that you get signed up for the Story Vault Remix. You've got a story that needs to be heard. Maybe you're not sure how to uncover it, how to unlock it, or even how to share it. Come on and join the masterclass coaching experience, Story Vault Remix. Head on over to storyvaultremix.com and get signed up for that. Grab yourself a VIP seat, my friend. Before I let you go, I want to leave you with this. Every season on the show, we're building something. January, we talked about consistency. February, clarity. March was confidence. April was expansion. May was resilience. And now we're here talking about the voice. And it's not an accident that voice comes last this season. We've built this season intentionally. The discipline, the clarity, the courage, the capacity, it all pointed right here to this, to you opening your mouth and actually saying the doggone thing. You don't find your voice. You choose to use it. Hey, until next time, everybody, stay grounded. Keep shifting your mindset so that you can shift your life, change your mind, change your story. Peace. We'll see you on the next episode. See you in the after show. MiNDSHiFTMonday.com/Zoom. Let's do it. I'll see you soon. Peace. Judy said, I'm teaching. Can't join the show. C. Marie's looking forward to the conversation. Oh, we're going to miss you, Judy. See you next time.